Alright, hello ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a debate. I haven't had a debate in a while, at least recorded wise, so I'm a bit nervous, I'm a bit shaky, as you can see. I'm very nervous. I haven't talked to ssjmike, like, at all, so will be my first interaction with him. Um, he forwarded me in talking about Nero and DMC5, but I assume we're going to talk about a lot of things DMC related, more than just, DMC5 Nero breakers. I'm hoping this will kind of expand the conversation. I'm not looking for any sweet owns. I'm just looking, I don't know, I'm looking for a good time, so let's see if that all works out.
You're getting your mic or setting up or...
Yep, it's all set up. I've got the thing to record and I've got the microphone. I got everything I need, my man.
Alright, it's not gonna be like a debate, it's just a conversation, you know?
Cool, that sounds cool with me. Either way, I'm cool. I'm game.
Alright. Just like... Oh yeah, you ready to record or...
Yeah, I already hit record.
Alright, cool. So, my entire, like, thing with the Devil Breakers is, like, I understand, like, it's not true, because, like, I remember one thing you said in the Devil Cry discussion channel, was that, like, it should be more like Dante in terms of freedom, when I understand where you're coming from, but I don't think that's what they were trying to do. Like, what they were trying to do was kind of, like, reward the player for forethought and, like, with their loadout. Because remember how it's like, oh yeah, you can't, like, switch back and forth. A lot of these Devil Breaker arms will be kind of OP otherwise. Like, a lot of them break super armor easily, like the one that projects Nero into the air. You know what I mean? Like that one Devil Breaker arm that, like, shoots Nero into the air, and when it's fully charged up, I forget what it does. But
it scatter shots when it's fully
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of it's kind of like to balance it out for Nero. Kind of like how with V, it's more about, like, what you can do within these limited, like, situations that, like the crazy shit you can do in those limitations. That's all up to, like, how you can perceive the powers that you wield. Whereas Dante is just kind of like, oh yeah, your mind's the limit. You know, like, you can do anything like that you want with no limits. Whereas the other's just kind of trying to dumb it down for challenge. Plus, you already have Nero's full abilities otherwise with the Devil Breaker, so the Devil Breaker itself is just kind of like an add-on that you have to choose to use wisely and to your, like, the most, like, creatively, you know? I'd say doing that kind of, like, makes other people think is like, oh, I only have a limited amount of time to do this. Let's think of the most crazy shit I can do in this small amount of time, you know? Whereas if you were like Dante, not knocking on Dante's gameplay, I love the hell out of it. It's really good. Whereas with Dante's thing, it's like, you don't have to think about how much of this you have or how much, like, Royal Guard or how much Trickster meter you have. It's always just about, oh yeah, I can do this and mix it in with everything else I do, so I'll experiment, you know? Which is good. But I kind of understand what the Nero gameplay is trying to go for as well, you know?
Okay, so I guess we'll start off with one of the reasons why I think this should be more like Dante is because Dante kind of sets up the premises of what an action game should be, basically. Like, all four of these elements are like a part of the game in some way, right? You have the evade mechanic, you have the long range mechanic, you have the most close combat, and then you have the blocking combat. All four of these things make Dante Dante, and the reason why Nero should be more like that is because, yes, I'll get to the limited thing in a minute, but the reason why that's important is because it covers all aspects of, like, the way you want to play, right? It's very simple to, number one, understand, and number two, use back and forth frequently, right? Now, as for the limited thing, I can get what you're saying. Like, you're trying to use what you're trying to use for, like, a certain amount of time. I get that, but the issue kind of reminds me of it is that it kind of holds back the character, like, a lot. Like, for instance, you have a whole button dedicated to breaking the arm, right? That's a whole button there. Like, in terms of action games, a whole button could, like, make or break a game. Like, literally. Like, controls and button inputs are super important. So having the input just break and having the whole system based around just simply breaking, I think is just kind of, it's an interesting concept for weapons to break. And I'm not saying that the devil arms can break if you do something stupid, for instance. That's fine. I don't mind that amount of punishment.
That's fine.
I don't mind that. But the issue is that you can only use them as one at a time, and that's kind of a big problem, for the character. Hey, Kirk.
I don't really see how that's really like an issue, like using them one at a time, because it's like, especially when you take into account that breaking it actually does kind of flow in with combat. It creates knockback. You can use it as a parry. You can, like, if there's not enemies behind you, if there's people within the range of the attack, there's not like it can't really get through it, and you have like, what's the word? Super armor with it. Like the breaking of itself, that break button is kind of its own mechanic. You know, it's not just a random move. It has like multiple utilizations. You can use it to clear multiple enemies at once, like to gain space. You can use it for, as I already said, parrying, and you can use it to cycle into your next arm, which is later, considering it also gives knockbacks. So let's say, for example, I had an arm that I was done with, and I had the whip arm that, like, you know, you could with long range and grab enemies close up to. Like there's a YouTuber out there that's really good with Nero. His name is Code IT. If you've heard of him, he's a Japanese player.
No, I haven't heard of him.
Okay, I'll send you a video or two, but he actually does like kind of use the break mechanic in a very interesting like capacity. Like, for example, if he had like Overture and he was done using it, he would use the knockback from the Devil Break mechanic and channel it into another like charged up whip attack. Because, you know, the charged up whip arm is kind of like, it's a grappling move.
Yeah.
So he would like bring him back in and slam him around and like channel that into the next cycle of moves he wants to do. Which it's like it seems like he's very planned out and like methodic with what he wants to do with the character, despite like having limited options. Whereas Dante's like just about improvisation, you know, like oh, I can do this. I'm going to lead this into this immediate. You know, it's all like instinct, like all that shit. Whereas with Nero, I think the action button like dedicated to breaking the arm, like I feel like that in and of itself is a really interesting thing that they put in the game. Like I'll show some gameplay if I can find some Code IT videos with Nero right now.
Okay, but most of the gameplay that I like to see when it comes to Nero is the mod where it allows them to switch from breaker to breaker near instantly. I really like that idea. And okay, so maybe it's not like the breaking button isn't the most useless thing. I shouldn't have said that. It does have uses, but I think there's a whole button there that could have been used for, like, let's take into the fact of how the breakers work, right? So the breakers have like two mechanics, right? Which is the normal, which is the one that you, well, three. One which is the normal move, one that is the charge up move, and then one that's just the breaker button, right? And I think that, number one, two of those actually require the arm to break, which I think is kind of, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of wasting its potential here, because, like, I don't even like the idea of the charged up attacks, because then if you just spam it over and over again, which a lot of people use for boss fights, I think that kind of, like, there's not a lot of complexity to that, you know?
I can agree. I feel like because the charged up moves, I feel like that's not like the charged up move itself. Like the idea of it isn't what's the problem. I think the problem is some of the moves in the arms are OP as fuck. That's kind of its own balancing issue. And the detonation, two buttons that have arms break, I see what you mean, but the thing is the context is completely different when one of them is a charged up move that could like does something completely different, and the other one is just kind of like a fail safe. Oh yeah, detonate, gain space, knock them into the air. It break their armor. It's like one does more and the other one does like a completely different thing. They're like two very different things, but they both result in the same thing, which is getting rid of the old arm and cycling it in for a new one. I understand why after like because the developers must have noticed that some of the arms were at least somewhat unbalanced with the whole entire charge up shit, which I think that's its own issue, not the idea of the breaker mechanic, just the idea of some of the gimmicks of the arms. You know what I mean? Which I can understand having a problem with that, but I do think like because even the fact that they made it so that the arm breaks after charge attacks means they must have been somewhat aware that the arms are like OP as shit, you know, like
yeah.
some of the stuff that they do.
Well, the quality of each breaker kind of varies. Like, for instance, the Buster arm, in particular, that one's completely useless after you complete the game for the first time, because then you just have the Devil Bringer, which does the same thing. So something like that is useless. But on the other hand, Overture is actually really good for taking care of enemies, like a cluster of enemies all at once.
And the Sticky Bomb, too. That one's really fucking useful.
Yeah, exactly. That as well, where you can charge it and then put it in something and then blow it up, right? I think there are, like, it varies from different to different, but I'd still say, like I said, I think breaking is fine. I want, like, to switch more. Like, here's the idea going behind, like, most, like, DMC players is that we want to execute the most with the most that we have, right? We're trying to make as much as one move, like a whole combo setup, right? And letting him only switch to it one by one. And I'm not saying that there isn't strategy, but in terms of, like, pure combos and stuff that, like, especially that I want from a game, like, it's not really given that to me, you know?
I think with the whole entire I think each, like, character kind of plays differently. Like, obviously, like, Dante's the most freedom and expressive character. That's, like, his whole point. Whereas you have other, like, reclusive characters, like, not saying V is like, oh yeah, you can definitely do some crazy shit with V. You can do crazy shit with all of the characters. My thing is, obviously, not all of them are supposed to be, like, as, like, free as Dante is, where Dante is just like, oh yeah, you have multiple style. Like, Dante literally has multiple play styles in a way where it's like, you can literally, like, like, whereas, like, some characters, they're like, they want you to kind of adapt to the character and to play in a certain way. Not saying you don't adapt to Dante, but it's more like you kind of feel your way with Dante, whereas, like, there's only, like, so limited ways with other, like, characters in comparison. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you, but have you heard about the freestyle argument in DMC3?
Freestyle argument. Is that, like, I haven't heard of the argument. No.
So basically, have you played DMC3?
Yes.
Okay, good. So you know how you have to manually switch over, or you go into one of the statues and then permanently switch your style? There's actually a good portion of the DMC community that thinks that the freestyle mode, which is in the Nintendo Switch version and the PC port, hold on.
Isn't that the one where they introduce style switching into? Because I've seen that. I haven't played the Switch version, but that has, like, style. Does that have, like, the style switcher mode, basically? You were talking about freestyle in the Nintendo Switch version.
Yeah, so basically there's a lot of people either on the PC port and on the Nintendo Switch version that get to play Dante with all of his styles active at once. And they realize that while there are elements like the customization ability isn't as good now because you just have everything all at once, but on the other hand, the amount of stuff that you can do with this character has been enormously, like, not only doubled, not tripled, but, like, quadrupled in terms of, like, actual things that you can do. And I just want the same thing for Nero, you know? Nero only has one gun. Nero only has one sword. And now he has to use breakers that switch on one at a time. I think that's really hurting the character. And to top this all off, Nero is going to be the main character in the next game. They've already said that Dante and Virgil's story is over. That's the end of the Sons of Sparta. And they're going to continue with Nero. If they're going to continue with Nero, I need more than just what I've already gotten, you know?
And, well, actually, now that you mention it, we have multiple things with Nero at this point. We have a bunch of different places. We have his own devil trigger. We've had that from the last game, but, like, this time it's, you know, it's basically the same thing, but with, like, a devil trigger skin over it. But we have to mix that in with devil trigger, his devil breaker, the devil breaker, all of his sword combos, the burn combos, which, like, make it even, which, like, you charge up and rev, the whole entire rev mechanic, which makes you do twice the damage and more hit, and, like, in some cases even more hits, like with his front attack, like his version of Stinger. I don't know what it's called, but and his version of High Time. Like, you have all of these mechanics to do with Nero, so I don't really see how him using one of the devil arms, devil breakers, right? Yeah, devil breakers at a time is an issue when you can conjunction it with everything else.
Sure, but here's the issue. Like, he's had his sword and his gun since 4. He's already had these mechanics. Like, I think that they should at least give him another weapon, or at least another gun, you know, something to add more to this character. And like I said, it's hard to necessarily put Nero as his first foot forward if he has so little, especially compared to characters like Dante. And even Virgil to an extent. Virgil has a lot of shit too.
I mean, to be fair, it's like when we compare any other character in the game to Dante, except for maybe even Virgil is, like, kind of pales in comparison to Dante in terms of freedom. But when we compare any other character, it's always kind of just like Dante blows them out of the water. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the issue with having a character that has been, like, used for years and has been, like, thought out. Like, That's to be expected. Like, if they knew that they couldn't, like, they can't surpass Dante, then they should have left Dante for the upcoming games. Like, it's, I don't know. Like, Nero in 4 was so bare bones. There are certain interesting things, but with the lack of proper inertia and reversals, that makes things kind of an issue.
I think it was just the fact that in like they didn't really have enough like level enemy design to really like give the character what his playstyle like was going to be like, what they set him up to be like. Like, I think the entire point of Nero, because if we think about it, the whole entire that actually brings back my point to the whole entire comparing it to Dante. It's like, well, yeah, no, that's the point. So I don't see it to be like a real fair comparison if we're comparing like the freedom of Dante to the freedom of Nero, especially when like the whole entire Nero thing is just kind of like utilize what you have at your disposal. And really, with everything else that is at his disposal, the only thing that's hurting it is the not using multiple arms at the same time, even though you can manually switch, and a lot of them are like very overpowered, and in order to balance them, they have to like make it so that they have limited usage. It's all about you using it wisely and smartly. I don't think that hurts the character. Why would it specifically?
What do you mean in terms of comparing it to Dante, or do you want to judge him as?
Well, I mean, I don't really expect him. I don't expect him to really be like Dante. If he's gonna be the protagonist of the next game, I'm completely fine with his playstyle now, especially when the entire like difference between him and Dante is, like that was the entire point of Dante. He's always just kind of been go with the flow. Whereas Nero's always just kind of been like, you have to adapt to his shit, and a lot of his shit that he's able to use is like, what's the word? It's always like you have to adapt to him. I can show you yeah, that is actually the perfect word. Yeah, accessible.
Okay, so I get what you mean when you're trying to like, you don't think it's fair to like compare Dante to Nero, which I think has some merit, and I'm not saying like judging this based off of other DMC games, right? I like to judge these games like compared to other action games like Bayonetta and Metal Gear Rising, and I think like Nero, sure, he, like I said, I do think he's like overall he's a fine character, I'd say, but I wouldn't say I think he could have improved if they were to make the breaker system more switchable to other breakers, right? And then there's like I said, with other certain breakers, like Overture and Gerbera are really good. They're thumbs up, they're all good. But in terms of other breakers, like Rohai's really like, ooh, that breaker is like almost useless. There's the Helter Skelter, which is the drill one, which is nice when you're trying to build amount of energy, but overall it doesn't give you that much mobility, and you're not doing much with it in terms of damage. And especially like the Sweet Surrender, which is basically there for just kind of beginners and to give you health, which I think is fine, but you've already got green orbs in the game. I don't think you need a dedicated breaker to break. So
if we're talking about individual like gimmick breakers, I agree with that they can be problematic and just straight up like not even useful. But like in terms of like what the entire like system that's set up, I understand what they're going for, and I'm fine with it. I think the actual issue at hand comes with the breakers themselves. You know what I mean? Like their actual gimmicks and gameplay styles, not the whole entire detonation switch one at a time mechanic. I can kind of get behind that, especially if like the entire switch thing, it's like you can't really go back, but you get kind of a reward for depending on how you switch or how you get through it. And if you're an idiot and use it like, and a moron, like you try and like, what's the word? You try and use like Overture to like hit a super armored enemy or whatnot, and you get like your devil arm broken. That's on you. That's the game punishing you for not thinking. But overall, in terms of like how it's switching and how it's like kind of a high risk, high reward type system, I think I'm fine with that, except the thing that ruins that are just some of the individual overpowered breakers that people can just, like you said, charge up and move through the entire like loadout and beat a boss. I think that is something that they should definitely work on.
Yeah, and there's always time to improve with DMC 6 or whatever game is going to be next. I kind of see, like I said, I'm not saying it's like the worst mechanic. I just think that it can be improved. Like it can be seriously improved.
Oh, I agree. I think half of Nier's mechanics can be improved. I thought the entire thing you were saying was that it was shit. I was like, I don't agree with that.
I don't know if I'd say it's shit. Did I say that specifically?
Let's just go. You said that in a Devil May Cry discussion.
Um,
You said fuck the breaker system, so I was like, oh shit.
oh, I say fuck a lot of things. Okay.
All right, I mistook that for you saying it was shit. I was like, I don't really see how it's bad with how it is.
Yeah, it's
Like, there's
fine.
definitely things that I think need to be improved. I just don't think the whole entire you need to go back and forth does need to be improved because I kind of understand what they were going for.
I've said in the past that it's not good, but overall I'd say it's average. I wouldn't say it's like the worst thing in
it's
the world.
decent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't expect it to be anywhere near as complex as like how OP the fucking Royal Guard system can be if you master it.
Oh, I love going
It's
back
so
and
great.
the Royal Guard system in 3 mostly is so good, man. It's so good. If you like, I spent time because I was working at a DmC3 video at one point, but that kind of fell through. But over time, like the more I played it, the more I like truly loved Royal Guard. Because like if you just play Mission 2 over and over again, and just having that delete button if you're very skilled is so rewarding, dude. It's so rewarding. So
Like also just like how some guys like with like go through the entire boss rush of DMC5, the Blood Palace, and just like you just see them use Royal Guard to deflect every attack, and it's like what the fuck? Oh my god, what was that? You know that like stomach laser that Goliath has?
yeah.
I remember the guy mastered like timing the hitbox so well, like it levitated Dante like all the way up the screen.
Oh yeah.
Dude was, oh my god, it's so fucking funny.
Yeah, it's great. It's like if you can basically block everything in the game if you're good at it. Like that's the best part about Royal Guard. That's why I think Royal Guard is such a key mechanic in fact, speedrunners in DMC3 out of all the loadouts, they always choose Royal Guard because if you master it enough, you can just like clear enemies without even like a hesitation. So
yeah. And the best part is like you don't even have to like build up the Royal Guard like meter. You if you're good enough, you can just do the like the release button, but like, use it as a parry.
yeah.
And if you time it well enough, I think it one shots enemies, not bosses.
Yeah, it doesn't. Most enemies will like go down with one hit from the roll release if you've done it really well. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's good. Want to talk about other things related to DMC5 because
Like specifically, I just wanted to have a discussion about this, but I'm completely open for other conversation. Like I'm down.
cool because I was gonna like talk more generally about like DMC and see where certain things you and I lie on in terms of that and see what interesting conversation we can have about that.
Yeah.
So let me see. What do you think about V? I've heard some like some
About
whispers.
V, I find him interesting as a concept. I don't think he's shit. Like, I completely understood like what they were doing when they made him as a character. But overall, like he just kind of like when you put him next to every other character, he just doesn't seem as interesting, you know? He's got like pretty alright gimmicks and like there's some like I love the puppet play, but I don't know. Like it's like you said with like how Nero could be improved to kind of be like because like he's going to be the protagonist of the next game. He's going to be standing up there in like Dante's place. So whereas V isn't, but you know, he just doesn't really have too much going for him in comparison.
Yeah,
I think I like Trish a bit better than I do V. Trish from DMC4.
Oh yeah, absolutely. In fact, I'd say like most of the characters, especially like a lot of the SE characters, are better than V easily, just because of how much range. Like Trish and Lady's like she's got like weird gunslinger mechanics, but overall she's still like I'd say she's a decent character, and the same thing I'd say for Trish. And I'd say that they're better than V, mostly because V's whole like mechanic and whole like way that he's built is not fundamentally flawed, but like wants you to play it in such a specific way. Like how do I best describe this? Like for instance, it wants the thing that I
Too
always,
limiting.
yeah, it's too limiting, especially when it comes to the way you want to attack. Like for instance, I talked to Barbecue Time about like V and stuff, And he says even though he may like certain of the things, there are some unpredictable elements of the game. Like for instance, if Nero or Dante, you press Y or X or whatever on your controller or PC, whatever, and you do the attack, you know exactly where it's going to land with the exact animation being the same, right? The thing about V is that V can be on, like, the attacking with V, he could be the demon or the panther, whatever Shadow. He could be on, like, the left, he could be on the right, and for setting up, like, certain combos that you want to do is very obnoxious because you have to deal with the AI just kind of going wherever, you know. There are better ways you can try and control it with that dash, but even then it's not perfect, you know?
Yeah, it just feels like it's kind of like something that needs to be like fine-tuned a little more. Like something that's like, it's not like unfinished, but it's something that should have been like utilized more, you know? Like something that like people could like they make it so that people can go more in depth with it. Because it's like the thing with the breaker system is like while it isn't limiting and it's not as interesting as Royal Guard, you can go in depth with it and do crazy shit. I just can't really see that. Like obviously you can do the same with V to an extent, but I don't think you can go that much in depth and compare. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
What is the limit of V?
Like he doesn't go very far, my man.
Yeah.
I'll put it like that because like even like the ender to a combo, like for all other characters across the series, if you just hit the enemy with 1 health, they die, right? But the thing about V is that every single time it wants you to hit with a certain like mechanic. It either wants you to do that spread where he shoots the sticks around into the sky, or he wants you to hit him with the stick. That's it. And in terms of combos, that is such a deal breaker because like Dante and Nero, you can not even touch the enemy and like play something earlier and then have it blow up in the background while you taunt. That's simple things like that give the system such style, right? Versus with V, you always have to end it a specific way, and it always like is a bummer for this character, you know?
Yeah. It's like even the enemies when you're done with them, they're just about as gray as the playstyle is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, I do understand. Yeah, that is something that would be annoying. Like the fact that like you have to do the weird like finishing off move or the weird like stick things, and it's like you only have 2 options to finishing off enemies. It's like, oh, but look, V teleports. You can do it anywhere. It's like, okay, just telling me all I have is just juggling the enemy until they're done, and that's it. I can't like explode them billions of times until they obliterate or like
Yeah.
I don't know, like taunt kill them. Does V even have a taunt kill?
Well, yeah, he does. He has one where he lights up his stick and he twirls it around, and if it's gray, you can actually finish him off like that. It's very hard to do though because V doesn't have a lot of movement in that taunt, and it takes a long time for you to do it. So
Yeah. I don't know. I just think like in terms of side characters, like new ones that were added, I think just 4 kind of blew it out of the water with Special Edition. Like 5 has the pretty much the same roster plus V, you know?
yeah, exactly. This is why, like, honestly, I think the best solution to Five's problem would be just to make Virgil like the first character to begin with, like in the base game. Like, get rid of EV. I can see what they were trying to do, you know, no character with a gun or a sword. That's kind of a neat idea, but, you know, if you want the main roster and you're trying to close off Virgil and Dante, then having Virgil and Dante in that game would probably be helpful, because then that way if they come around with a special edition, they can always like add a few new weapons or make tweaks or do a, you know, DmC Devil May Cry DE type thing where they actually fix, you know, certain problems with the game. But, you know, they just only imported Virgil. Even though I like Virgil in 5, I think he's really good, but, you know, they could have done more.
It's still like, you know, they're adding another character that's already been like shown, and we have like seen that playstyle billions of times. The stuff that they're like showing us now with like, oh yeah, look at this new playstyle, is just kind of like, oh yeah, this is new, but it's like it's nowhere close to what you've introduced the last time. So it's like, it's like at least with Nero, in 4, I could say he had like, oh yeah, this could definitely go far. I don't really see the limits of V being that much, you know. It's like, jeez.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, I'd say DMC 5 is an okay game. I don't think it's as good as DMC 3, honestly. I think it's still like Dante. Like Dante doesn't have a lot of issues. Most of the problems that I have with Dante come down to his sense of balance.
Yeah.
So like
I can kind of understand that as a complaint.
Well, here's kind of what I mean by that. So DMC3, DMC4, and the reboot all had balance in terms of what weapons you have. You have 2 or 1 light weapons or support weapons. You have 2 or 1 heavy weapons, and then you have 1 middle weapon. These are kind of like the spectrum that you have here. Versus in DMC5, excuse me for a second. Sorry, but in all these games previously, you had a sense of balance to his character. Even though in DMC4, I thought he could be a bit more powerful, and DMC3, it's obviously custom. But either way, you have a sense of balance. But in DMC5, it's really hard to make out what's what weapon. Like for instance, the Devil's Sword Dante isn't just a neutral weapon anymore. Now it's like a support-ish, half support, half neutral weapon. Then you have like the Cerberus, which originally was a support weapon, but with the bow staff and with the electricity, you can get large clumps of enemies and do a lot of damage. And with Bike, you can do a ton of damage all at once and slow down the pacing a lot. With him just racking up easy combos with a heavy type style, and of course Balrog, which is the gauntlets that you usually get from past games that let you do massive amounts of damage. He kind of is in need of more support weapons other than just one, and there's like a lot. He can do so much damage, especially if you know what you're already doing with the character, that I think that Dante would be better for him to be kind of rebalanced a bit. But yeah, that's what I mean by that.
Yeah, I could kind of get behind that. One game I think does balance like fairly well, and it's not even an action game, like in terms of like what you're talking about, is probably the Budokai games from. Have you played the Dragon Ball Budokai games?
No.
No. Okay. Well, basically, what they are is they're like they're 2D with 3D model like fighters where like it's kind of like you fight back and forth. But you can kind of like do a sidestep to like change where you're positioned and shit like that. But another thing it does well is like how well they balance like because you have a ki blast as a move and a melee combo that like you use to juggle enemies in the middle of your actual combos. I'll see if I can find a good example, but they do it in a way where it's like some energy blast will be like a volley attack or a beam. So the beam will have like knockback, whereas the volley will kind of like, what's the word? What's the version of knock back, but it knocks you up? Knock up? Is that
knock up?
Is that just called knock up?
Knock up, okay. I guess.
Yeah, but it'll have knock up, so it could set you up for like a melee attack. Like for example, if I was using Gohan and they use some of my ki blast to like not give someone knock up, I could follow that up with a soaring dragonflight uppercut, which would kind of like throw them into the air. And this also kind of works both ways with the enemy who's getting attacked at the time, where if they're getting attacked and they're not like, stunned or you miss a certain beat, they'll have like a moment to recover, like kind of, because like you can fly in the game after you knock someone into the air. Like there's a lot of ways, there's a lot of cool ways you can approach a battle in Budokai 3. Like I'll see if I can pull up a clip of some combos.
Yeah, it's what you're sounding is neat. By the way, the word that you're looking for is juggle when you want to throw the characters up and juggle them in the air. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. Gotcha. Juggle. Okay. Dragon Ball Budokai 3 combos. Okay. So heat guard breaks there. You can even use like transformations to kind of like break someone's guard or like cause stun. It's really fucking neat. So, if he ever fucking does it, that'd be cool. But yeah, right there, that's what I mean by like you can use kind of like you can use a transformation in the middle of a like a combo to kind of like keep it going because it does add to stagger. But the thing is, you see that little yellow meter under the health meter?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like the limit of like how many bars you need to like transform and whatnot. So it's like you can't just randomly transform and shit. you have to like keep, because like if you like doing combos like adds to your key meter, but you have to be able to like consecutively do it, and it's kind of hard to do because like a lot of like the combos can be kind of like, well, if I'm gonna be real with you, a lot of like the base combos can be kind of lukewarm, if you know what I mean. Like
Yeah,
they
I
don't
get
really
you.
know much or do much, so you have to like mix it up with other like base sets, which is like, for instance, if I like regular square 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 is only gonna give you knockbacks. You have to do like square square square, and then wait a second, like try and like cancel it, and then hit with like a forward Y or a forward triangle, which does like a or a juggle, and then you can like knock them into the air and whatnot, or like just like keep backing them up like what this guy's doing. He's applying a lot of pressure and intervening it with his transformations, which honestly, now that I mention it, so if there's one thing that does kind of break it is probably the transformation, like the transformation mechanic in this game, because some characters have more transformations than others, and and like when you transform back, it doesn't do the same thing. It just kind of, what's it called? He just kind of like regularly transforms like this, like, you know how like when Goku transformed in this sequence, the entire screen paused and he like broke his guard.
Oh, okay.
But like when you're not doing that, it just kind of like when you're going back, when you're de-transforming, he just regularly transforms back. Like it's just a white flash in your regular Goku. Like, so if there was anything I would say that would break the balancing in that, I'd say it would be the transformation sequence. So is that what you mean by kind of like it can be unbalanced for DMC5 with some weapons? Like some weapons just kind of like don't really mesh well with the others, that like the other sets based on the DMC formula
Yeah,
for
that's
what it
kind of what I
does.
mean. Yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
All right, cool. But we did mention at one point we talked briefly about the reboot. And you said that you wanted to talk about it sometime, so I thought, hey, might as well.
The story, I think, and that was like months ago. I need to revisit it. Shit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I remember thinking the story was like kind of not that good in terms of like how the character was handled, but now I'm not sure. I don't even remember my points. I don't have notes.
Oh, you don't have notes, damn. Well,
Nah.
next time you have notes, you can always talk to me about. Here, you can talk to me about it right now, like what things that you thought were off. Because currently, I'm working on a huge fucking DMC reboot video that like mass responds to like near every video I can find on the reboot. So I've been putting a lot of legwork into that. So you can bring up any problem or anything, and I'll like talk about it.
One thing I'd probably have to bring up is just kind of like how like stupid Mundus can be with deploying some of his men. Like a lot of the times, like you see his demons in like what's it called, in like levels and whatnot, and they look pretty well spread out. But it's like in terms of actual story, like when they're having a hard time like following them, the weird squirrel piss stuff, squirrel semen, whatever it is, that weird thing that lets them travel between worlds. It's like you think someone like Mundus, who's like the master of the what's it called world, would kind of like be able to would have an easier time keeping track of like where someone is, especially when you realize that where they are is just kind of an underground thing. It's like, really, he didn't see that coming, like, at all.
Well, I remember a certain point in time when Phineas was talking about like the Nephilim. Like for instance, I think one of the reasons why it's hidden so well is because they actually know how to like evade. Like Virgil taught Cat and the Order in general how to basically stay away with, like, he taught Cat a lot of demonology and certain stuff. So if Virgil has like a high knowledge of like how the limbo works, and you have the fact that Mundus can't travel to limbo, like, and his demons can't travel into limbo, like, immediately. They can't do it that well as a Nephilim can. I think that maybe I get your point. Like, he should be a bit smarter, but at the same time, there are a lot of other things.
He knows he can't travel there. Is this just like I forget? Is this a realm that he just isn't aware of?
No, he's aware of it. He just can't. It's basically like the Nephilim have it's explained by Phineas that one of the reasons that the Nephilim went extinct was because how powerful they were to be able to go from the real world and to limbo, because they have, half of angels and half of hell on their side. Well, not on their side, but like abilities. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, like, does I forget whether or not Mundus has like any allies that can travel to Limbo, or is that just like a completely safe space from him? Like altogether, there's nothing he can like use to get there.
He can send certain people, like a hunter. He sent a hunter to find like Dante. What they want to do basically is find Dante. They have to get to Dante, and then have to pull him into Limbo. They have to. So that's what the hunter does in the first mission when he goes to find him. He's like, "Okay, I found you, Dante. Now I can drag you into Limbo with me." They did this in mission 4 with the camera scene. Dante gave himself into a tent, which I don't know why they're walking in broad public without his hoodie on and not being able to get spotted. And I think that's a bit dumb. But
Yeah.
when he was, knocked the guy's cannon out of his hand, the demon spotted him and then dragged him into Limbo. So that's how you try and beat Dante and Virgil, is to try their best to drag him into Limbo. That's like the idea behind it.
I get that. This is the reason I kind of wanted, because like the reason I didn't take notes on it was because I wasn't really like prepping for. I usually take notes when doing something like a big like Thumpcast, like with SK, like what we did for the Invincible TV show, or Spectacular, because we found more stuff about that actually recently, and same with Spectacular that are like issues, and we do have notes on those. But the reason I didn't do notes for this is because I wasn't planning on doing anything with it besides a couple discussions here and there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's okay. Like, I'm not expecting you to have perfect memory, and I'm not here to fucking know.
Oh yeah, no. So. It's cool. I just like completely forgot about that too. Like that entire discussion I said where I wanted to have a VC about it. I forgot. So
okay.
I'll try and freshen up. But I mean, if you want, we could like watch through is watching through the cutscenes enough? Is there like expository dialogue that's like important, that's explained in gameplay?
Yeah, there is some stuff that's explored in gameplay.
Okay, good. So I'll just have to replay the game entirely then.
It's okay. Which version of the game do you have? Do you have the one on PC or do you have the DE edition?
I have the one on PC.
Ah, man, you're not getting the best version. The best version of the original version of the game is okay. I'd say it's still good, but the DE version is much better. It allows you to have optional lock-on. It gives you all the DLC stuff. It gives you additional skins. It fixes elements, like I said, lock-on. It even removes Virgil's fedora from the game. There's that. What's the other thing? Oh yeah, 60 frames per second. That wasn't something that was in the original game, apparently. And rebalancing issues like hardcore mode, which basically, like, when you do DT, you know how it flies them all up. In hardcore mode, it makes the parries harder to hit, but also removes the flying of the enemies in the air. So it basically works like normal DTs in previous games. So.
Oh wow, really? That's actually really interesting.
Yeah, there's like a whole Google Doc on it of all the stuff that Ninja Theory like went over and corrected in their game. Like, it's small little details that like are really important. It's actually the most like in terms of sheer like fixing content that has ever been in an edition of a DMC game. Honestly, it's a lot. There's a whole bunch on it. So yeah.
Yeah, I get you. Have you watched the Invincible TV show?
Yes, I have.
What are your thoughts on it?
I thought originally when I watched it that it was good, but I'm willing to have my mind changed on that. I haven't really gone over the issues or taken any notes or anything like that.
I mean, I can just like do a little briefing on it. Just like I'll go a character at a time, like starting from like most breaking to even the dumb, like to the small shit. Honestly, in terms of character, and like just based on like Amber's just kind of a dick. She's not like, I wouldn't say she's the worst. She's definitely a bad character, but she's definitely far from the worst. Surprisingly, that's Cecil. So basically, Cecil, he's been spying on Omni-Man. He's trying to take all the precautions. He knew it was Omni-Man for like from basically almost the very beginning. He was so adamant about like keeping all this shit a secret. He literally sent his best detective, Damien Darkblood, back to hell because he didn't want to start a confrontation with Omni-Man until he was fully prepared. And he, like, guess what he does in the final season when he doesn't... Wait, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. He also... Remember that, the bit of Ultramite blood they took from Invincible while he was in the hospital? And they were like, we can't kill it. We don't know what the hell to do with this, because they're experimenting.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, A, that goes completely nowhere. And B, he doesn't try to, like, buy more time. His version of buying time is starting a confrontation with Omni-Man near the end because Debbie came to him and told him his plans to go, like, or told him that he's killed the Guardians of the Globe, even though he already knew that in the final season. He just starts a confrontation with Omni-Man when he has nothing to fight with.
Jesus.
Literally the best thing that he had was Mark, and look how that fucking turned out.
Yeah.
Like, and in this continuity, it's kind of implied that, like, Adam Eve can manipulate organic matter with trees and how she's able to kill people with blasts, like the Flaxens.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that she's actually something that'd be worth using against Omni-Man. And yes, Omni-Man would be fast enough to kill her in the blink of an eye, but if you had her team up with Mark, who's like not relative to Omni-Man, but would be fast enough to at least slow him down to like a bit of an extent. Oh yeah, and the Reanimen, those were able to slow Omni-Man down too. If you just got Omni-Man distracted for a second, Adam Eve might have been able to slice Omni-Man. Yeah, another thing.
I noticed this when like isn't there more heroes? Like in the world like this, I expect there to be a lot more heroes.
Oh yeah, no, there's an entire world, like there's an entire like world class, even heroes from different nations that we're talking about. Well, if we're going based off like what they're adapting, sure. And I have no reason for them I have no reason not to think that they do the same thing, because all superhero teams are established to work under the government.
Oh wow.
So like basically all of them, like the ones that are under the Guardians of the Globe, Fight Force, because like Cecil calls them all in continuity. But the big breaker is you're thinking, oh yeah, Cecil is done for all this. But here's the funny part. You know how Omni-Man is supposed to like get off the planet alive to set up for later arcs?
Yeah.
If Cecil was just a bit a bit smarter, or like, not retarded, Omni-Man wouldn't have made it like off planet alive.
How so?
Well, again, the multiple contingencies he had set up against him that he didn't let flesh out, and B, Adam Eve.
Yep. And he didn't do any of this shit. Wow.
Nope. He started a fight with him using guns and lasers, which he knows doesn't work on Omni-Man. Because he's worked with him for at least 15, 17, 20 years, maybe?
And he doesn't know that won't have an effect on him? That's fucking weird.
No. He's a fucking idiot. Also, guess where he decides to spy on him? Guess where the observation headquarters is that he's using to spy on Omni-Man in his house?
Where? Oh yeah,
right,
isn't it? It's across the street. That's right. Oh my god.
Yeah, and you can track it. And you can like spy on him through satellite. So why the fuck are you doing this? It's not like he's even keeping a weapon over there. It's just a bunch of people looking at monitors. No guns. No nothing. It's just Duncan, who's a cyborg, and all the other people.
Oh man, wasn't it weird? The one thing that I remember is that the cyborgs somehow could like nearly defeat Mark. I remember. Oh yeah, that was stupid.
That's fine. I'm fine with that being established, because it's supposed to be like what's it called? Mark is the not even the strongest like superhero on the planet. He's like a lot weaker than Omni-Man. These Reanimen are like kind of set up to like actually be able to like punch down Mark. That's how they're established to be. And with government technology being upgraded and enhanced, they're able to almost take down Omni-Man, but Omni-Man overpowers them. So that's just establishment with D.A. Sinclair and how smart he is. That's just like how advanced his technology he can be. Especially when it's like, that's even more impressive, the fact that like he made that from scrap and other shit. So I'm completely fine with that. That's just like kind of establishment,
Yeah. Is there any more issues with the series?
Oh yeah, there's a lot. I haven't even covered the Guardians.
Oh boy.
So, but I'll get there later. I'm not even done with Cecil. Fucking guess what? So you know how Cecil wants to keep it from Omni-Man that he's spying on him?
Right.
That's what he tells Mark when he first starts working with him.
What?
Oh yeah, how did you know I was? Mark's like, oh yeah, how did you know she was in there? Have you been spying on me? And then he's like, oh yeah, it comes with working with the government kid. say goodbye to your privacy life. You know what's even dumber about that? He knows Mark is Omni-Man's kid, and Mark, being his son, being Omni-Man's son, would definitely ask his dad, who's been working with the government for a long time, about advice on this situation. And guess how that would go? Hey, Dad, so, like, the government's spying on us. Is that just, like, a thing you've been having to deal with? Wait, this government's spying on us?
That would have been game over already for Cecil.
No, Cecil's plan is fucked. And the Guardians of the Globe, have I showed you? Do you know about the end fight scene? How bad that is in the first episode?
Yeah.
Okay,
I've seen the
so
fight scene.
I don't need to cover that then. You already know how dumb that is?
You can still cover it. I just don't need a video for it.
Okay. Well, if I cover it, I have to go through it like step by step. You know what I mean? It just kind of helps me. So
okay.
like, just to save time, should we just skip past it since you already like think it's problematic, or?
Yeah, I had a feeling it would be, considering you have all these tons of people with powers and it's not used properly. So.
Yeah. Literally, the guy who's like the support. I'll just say this: Red Rush, the guy who's the support, starts going in close distance and starts wailing on him, and everyone just stands back. There's a lot of that. Everyone, like, them going at him one at a time, which leads to them all getting killed. And the thing is, they're almost relative to Omni-Man in terms of strength. They're able to bruise and give him multiple, like, wounds of internal bleeding. Even Red Rush is able to. So that means if they were smart, they could have defeated Omni-Man. Whereas in the comic, Omni-Man just one-shots all of them. So it's like there's a bigger power gap. The only one that's even like relatively there, like alive, is Immortal after that, because, you know, he got like punched through the stomach and his durability is, you know, linked to his powers, and he got his head cut off and shit. But also, which also leads back to the fact that like his physical strength, in terms of like being like his physical strength is enough to hurt Omni-Man. So it's like, yeesh, if you just got him, War Woman, and a bunch of people, Omni-Man would be fucking finished if they actually were just intelligent. Also, Darkwing, the guy who's like completely human and relies on gadgets, jumped at Omni-Man, like jumped to kick him. A guy who can fly.
Yeah, he could just like, he starts like kicking him. I would imagine how well that would go against like basically God. Oh my god.
Yeah. So should I just like stop with Cecil and go to Omni-Man?
Yeah, sure.
Omni-Man's not as terrible as Cecil. Omni-Man is actually, because I remember I had a discussion with SK. He's like, why isn't Omni-Man appealing to Mark's humanity? It's like, SK, Mark is a liability, kinda, considering his plan is just to figure out if they're able to repopulate. Mark isn't even a threat. This is just something that Omni-Man himself wants to do to incorporate him in. He's trying to show him that humanity is wrong, you know? Like humanity, like, it doesn't work. How feeble their society is, how much weaker they are compared to him. Why like having people in your society die can actually lead to progress. That's his entire message. Why would him appealing to his humanity ever get him to change? If anything, that would get him to not fight back, but then join and then figure out when everyone's killing like other people, he would just resist later. So it's pointless. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's better to get him under the mindset that he's just completely fucking wrong. That's fine. Here's the biggest issue with Omni-Man. He didn't throw away his fucking suit. Like, just throw his suit in. Why didn't he just throw his old suit into the sun? Or something? Remember? When Arthur was interrogating his suit that he used in the Guardians of the Globe battle, and the blood and all the other shit on his suit?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember.
Throw it into the sun.
Or just reach the top of the atmosphere or something where it'll burn up easily or something.
Oh no, it wouldn't. It's friction proof.
Oh, it's friction proof? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, it's the same suit that Omni-Man had on at the end of the final episode. Remember?
Oh, okay.
When he flew off planet.
Yeah, that's right.
But
it only disintegrates the blood on it, not the.
Yeah, and they're said to be internally weak. Wait, if their blood, oh my god, that's even dumber. So wait, if their blood can't take re-entry, imagine if Cecil, through experimentation, realized that Viltrumites aren't as strong on the inside as they are on the outside.
Oh shit!
By using the blood.
Oh. What the fuck?
What a fucking idiot! Oh my god, I fucking hate Cecil. And the funny thing is, I'm not even using adaptation arguments to fucking because it's not a very accurate adaptation. It has Mark is a much more egotistical character at the beginning. And I could say, like, the most accurate depiction is Omni-Man. Cecil's a fucking idiot. Amber's Amber. Adam Eve is okay. William, I hate saying that. This is probably the worst, like, I'm just going to say this. He literally doesn't really have anything going for him besides his relationship with Rick. Besides being Mark's friend.
Yeah, and he does give him like a little bit of advice that I remember in the car scene, but that's about it.
To be fair, that advice is literally just, oh, you're a terrible boyfriend.
That's
Even
true.
though that's hardly advice.
Exactly.
It's literally just, oh yeah, you're a terrible boyfriend and you should have told our secret identity sooner, which honestly, if he cared about Mark, I think that's kind of a character assassination considering that puts both her and Mark in danger. William only knows because he found out.
That's true.
So it's like, literally, why do you think Mark has been keeping this a secret? Oh yeah, by the way, did you know that the Guardians of the Globe retryouts? They settle out what's it called? They do the tryout. The trial for the tryouts is one. It's literally one event, and guess what it is?
What?
1v1 fights. That's it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They didn't even try to explore like the amount of different powers that each person has. You know,
the different powers, how compatible they are with others. Also, Rex, and because they said that they were testing character. The comic does it differently. You see the trials, they just say that trials happen. You can kind of infer, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trials, plural. So, Rex shows that he is incompatible with multiple of the team members, insulting them, and even, like, starting fights. And they said that they were testing character, yet Rex is still allowed on the team, as opposed to other people who have shown great character but lost some of their matches. And probably even some interesting powers.
Right.
Like, imagine if that Lightning Girl was on the team, the one that lost to Black Samson. And the funny thing is, Robot's like, oh yeah, and we even tested your ability to adapt. It's like, in one fight.
Yeah.
How is that fair?
Yeah, they need to analyze their superheroes much better than
This is the number one world. This is like the world-class superhero team. The best. The number one.
And they can't even get trials, right?
Yeah. The Guardians of the Globe is a fucking joke. But, oh yeah, by the way, after that entire scene, there's multiple times when Rex should have been kicked off the team, especially when you have Rex and Duplicate on the team, who have had drama in their past relationships after cheating on Adam Eve. In fact, Rex is the entire reason Adam Eve, a very useful candidate, was, like, left the team. So that means Rex is a problem and he shouldn't be on the team in this continuity.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even get
like what do you like when someone's starting like trouble in the workplace, like a lot of trouble to the point where someone actually like quits, what do you think happens?
Yeah, they clean house.
Yeah. What the fuck? Also, what's it called? Do we have to go over episode 6, the one with the reanimate, and how bad that is?
Remind me of that episode again.
So basically, I'm just gonna name one scene. Rick, after getting turned into a reanimate, goes to fight Mark, and the thing that takes him out of it is William talking about how they fucked at the lake.
Oh yeah, that was really dumb. I remember
Especially
that
when
shit.
he had his frontal lobe removed.
Yeah, and he couldn't be capable of that. Yeah, that's fucking weird.
Literally dumb as shit. Yeah, none of that happens in the comic. Just like that's not the issue, but like just saying like that itself, you know what I mean? Like just go. It's just a better version, and like this version, like not misrepresent by not having the exact things happen, but misrepresent it in a way where a bunch of bullshit happens. Like absolute stupid shit. If I'm gonna be real, there's only about SK and I counted about 3 episodes that range from 6 to 8 out of 10. Oh yeah, you want me to go over the Mahler twins fight?
Sure.
Or not the fight, them getting out of prison. I'll pull it up.
Sure.
Mahler twins escape prison. Okay, pull back. What are you doing, dumbass? Dude,
that's his own fault.
Dude, literally, the worst part is if he had just like left and didn't like check, like he literally couldn't have been able to break out, because think about it, he needs his handprint to open the door.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, this is already retarded. Okay, where's security? You guys should be in the building. To be fair, Robot is sabotaging the security, as in like the alarms. So I'm fine with that. But the problem is that entire thing with the guard. That's just dumb. I'm sorry, no. That's
Yeah, there's
dumb.
even the thing that I notice even in prisons is that they usually go around in groups of 2. So
Yeah. By the way, a lot of the guys in this place are wearing armor and shit, and you have guns that can pierce superhuman skin. Well, actually, I don't think they do. No, I actually think they do, because the guy has to, the Mahler twin number 1, or one of them has to pull out a cover on the wall to use as a shield, which for some reason isn't also superhuman proof. This is just really dumb.
Yeah, it seems dumb and inconsistent, really.
Yeah. Because remember, they were able to block bullets at the White House from artillery cannons, but like this place is built for superhumans, and they're able to tear it apart. Yeah, why don't they have the people passing out food armed to the teeth like that?
Yeah, that's especially when you're in contact with them, you know.
Yeah, I mean, they have a gate where it's like you put it in and then like your side closes and the other side opens. But the thing is, if the other side opens, don't just look into it like, oh, is it open? No, go, if you have a feeling, back up. Get out of there. What are you doing? Hey, here's the even dumber part. Okay, superhuman place. Yeah, see?
What?
Like, yeah, that place was, it's like, because they're trying to do the thing, it was like, oh, look, he tore up the wall, and that was strong enough to block the bullet. But here's the thing. These bullets are meant for superhumans and shit. And that wall is meant for superhumans as well. So it's like, wait, and I don't even think that, did that rocket damage the wall inside? Oh yeah, by the way, they should be getting hit, like, right now, even on the legs. This is like a wall of bullets. This is a wall. It's not just like imagine Captain America's shield, like Captain America holding his shield in front of him just to block like 17, like a hallway full of turret guns. Would that not make sense? That's dumb. This is already dumb. What about everyone else? Don't just stand there.
Oh
okay.
my God.
All of you suck.
Yeah, they're not doing their jobs properly, easily.
They don't even have any cover anymore. Wait! Okay, good. I thought that was gonna bust down the door. I was like, but it deflected it the other time. That's consistent. And here's the second part, which is even more hilarious. Sorry, I had to skip ahead because this actually has more of it. Notice how it over-penetrated?
Yeah.
Watch this. He's not even holding it in front of him right now. He should be getting lit up.
Yeah. One shot and it's done for you.
Oh yeah, this wouldn't even be protecting him because it over-penetrates.
Yeah, because it goes right through, exactly.
So this is bad. This is terrible. Okay. Did I mention this animation looks terrible? Like really, really bad. Like it's abysmal at points. Oh yeah, another point that I think I should probably show you is you have to see the Cecil reveal scene, but like on your own. Watch this. Like Cecil confronts.
Alright, this is the last one I gotta get going because I promised my family I'd do something.
Alright, it was nice talking to you though, when you get there. Or when I get there. Jesus, come on. Never mind. You're gonna have to see it on your own. It's in the episode when like Mark is on his first date with Amber, and like he has to leave to go fight Doc Seismic. Oh yeah, speaking of Doc Seismic, real quick, I'm just gonna say it. This is just something I can get across vocally. Doc Seismic has established that whenever he uses his shock gauntlets, he gets a concussion, but he's able to use it multiple times and it doesn't hurt him. And Mark tries to kill him twice. Like he throws a giant boulder at him, even though he's just a guy with shock gauntlets.
Jesus.
Yeah, terrible. All right, well, you got to get going. I'll see you around.
All right, thanks, man. This was a good talk. You know, maybe we should do it some other time. You know.
Probably. I could invite you onto a Thumpcast maybe at some point if you'd like to come on.
Oh, absolutely. I would love any time, any place. You know.
All right. See you later.
See ya.